Hi, I'm Nathan, sound designer and music composer. I'm making this video because when I started getting into game audio, I didn't know where to start. My main problem was that I was always asking myself, I know how to do this in the DAW, but how the hell do I do this in the game engine? This video will teach you basic game audio concepts that will be ready to work in almost any project. I've chosen a simple game to explain concepts because when getting into game audio, things can get very confusing. I'll also like to point out that I'm by no means a programmer and that this is my way of doing things, so feel free to comment your way of doing things. I'll also like to give a shout out to the people that have inspired me making this video: Akash Takar, Scott Game Sounds, Kujo Sounds, and Adam T. Croft. Those are very talented people that make extremely valuable content, so please go and watch them. For this tutorial, you need the latest version of Wwise, Unity, the Unity project file available in the description, and a code editor, in my case, Visual Studio. I'm doing this on Mac, but this will also work on PC. Okay, now we'll be watching what we'll be making today. Okay, even though this looks simple, there's a lot going on there. My main goal was not to showcase the best sound design I had done, but rather experiment with Wwise and do like I was asked to actually integrate interactive pieces into a game. Now I'll be explaining basic game audio concepts. A sequence is used to play sounds in a specified order. In the game, I've used a sequence container to play the C major scale. I've also used a random container to play random combo sounds. It can be continuous, like in the stack game, and can loop and do all sorts of things. In this game demo, I've used a mix of horizontal and vertical music. In order to approach vertical and horizontal music, I first need to explain what is an RTPC. A RTPC, or a real-time parameter control, is used to change parameters such as volume, filter cutoff, and do certain actions. In this example, when the value 1 is reached, an action will be triggered. When using horizontal music, the goal is to make the playhead go to different sections of the track, for example at the end or at certain moments. In order to have a comfortable listening, it's recommended to use quantization, meaning that the playhead needs to wait a certain amount of beats or bar to go to the next section, mainly to avoid clicks and abrupt transitions. Vertical music resembles to a DAW workflow. You have your stems, and when the RTPC value changes, it changes the volume of the stems, kind of like automations. States act like a Boolean statement. If the player is alive, do A. If the player is dead, do B. In the stack game, I've used this to change the music whenever the player loses. But this can be used to trigger footstep changes and all sorts of things. Now let's jump to the Wwise in Unity integration. Open the Unity project that you just downloaded. Remove the default scene and drag and drop the game scene as we will work on the prefabs contained in the scene. After that, go to the Wwise launcher and click on the Unity tab. Click Integrate in Wwise and choose your platform. If you've already created a blank Wwise project, you can locate it in the Wwise project path. If you leave the path empty, you'll create a new Wwise project that will be located inside of the Unity project. After the integration is successful, relaunch Unity and make sure that the Wwise speaker shows up next to the console and project tab. Now let's open Wwise. A work unit will be where you'll be storing all of your audio files and containers. What you will integrate in the game will be Wwise events. These events encapsulate audio containers and spit out the code for you. So every time you want to put something in a game, you want to make sure that what you're working with is an event. Events can do multiple types of things, such as play, stop. We'll just do a quick test to check that everything is set up correctly. Import whatever audio clip that you have, preferably a short one, since we'll be playing it back over and over, and go to the Events tab. Create an event and name it as you want. I personally like to add the suffix _event to differentiate it from the containers. Yeah. Drag and drop the audio clip in the event editor and press play. In parallel, we'll also need to create a sound bank. Sound banks will load the events contained in it. They can save crazy amounts of memory, since we'll not always need a certain sound bank in the game, but we'll stick to a single sound bank at the moment. Create a sound bank. I'll name mine main. After that, go to the sound bank view. In the sound bank's editor, grab the event that you just created. Specify the platform and the language, and click generate. Great. Check the log to see if everything is working correctly. And make sure to hit save. This will tell Unity that some changes were made in Wwise. Now go back to Unity and check that your event shows up in the Wwise speaker. Deactivate Unity Audio by going to the project settings, Audio, as we'll be using Wwise as our audio engine. Drag and drop the sound bank on the main camera. Drag and drop the event on the main game object, in this case, the stack. Then test the event. Okay, now let's jump back to Wwise. Import your audio files in default work unit. Here I'll be importing my sound effects in the default work unit. But I'll be importing my music stems in the interactive music hierarchy, where things work differently. Now I'll be making a sequence container. In order to do that, select all of the items that you want to put in a sequence. Right-click and select New Parent, Sequence Container. You can also manually create a sequence container and drag and drop the files in it. I'll be naming mine Scale. However, if we try to play the sequence container, it will not play any sound because the sequence container needs to have a playlist with sounds in it in order to play it. Go to the Views menu and click on Contents Editor. After that, drag and drop the scale sounds into the playlist. I'll change the play mode of the sequence container to step because I want it to play the C major scale every time a point is scored. If I keep it on continuous, it will play the whole sequence over and over, but I don't want that. Now I'll be creating a random container where I'll put the combo sounds. It will play them in a random order. I'll now be covering the interactive music part. All my stems are now in a music segment. It will play all tracks at the same time. My music segment consists of 8 different tracks, a lead, an FX track, a drum track, a bass, a clock sound, a second clock sound, and a third clock sound. and reverb tail. To control all of those tracks, we'll use an RTPC. I'll later use the RTPC value in conjunction with the score count in the game. The values I'll make will be arbitrary, meaning that you can customize it at your will, so feel free to experiment with them. Click on the RTPC tab and click on the double arrow icon. Select Voice Volume, which will be shown in the Y-axis. On the X-axis, click on Game Parameter and click on New. This will reference the RTPC in the game sinks. I'll name mine Music RTPC, then click OK. You can see that by default, it created a linear volume curve, but we'll change that after. Here, I want all of the music to fade out whenever the value is set to 80. Between 80 and 100 will be where the game over reverb tail will be played. So I'll just draw a straight line and do a fade out starting from 80. I want the drums to go in from about 25, and the same fade out applies for them. The clock sounds will go in when the score has reached a value of 40. So I'll start the fade in at 40. And I'll apply the same fade out. The second clock sound will go in from 60 and the last one will start at 80. Okay, now I'll create a new playlist container that will play the game music. We want to do that because we want the game music to loop whenever we're playing. I'll set the loop count on infinite. You might be wondering how we can switch between the game music and the game over music. We'll do that by using states. go to the Game Syncs tab and click on the state's default work unit. Click on the available icon and put the name of your state group. Here I'll name mine dead underscore or underscore alive. Then create 2 new states, dead and alive. Once that's done, select the 2 music containers and click on New Parent Music Switch container that I'll name game_music_switch. Drag and drop the game music playlist container on the alive state and drag and drop the game over segment on the dead state. If you go to the transport control and click on states, you can now preview what's going on if you change the state from one to another. However, the transition will be immediate and we do not want that because, like I've said before, it will create some ugly clicks and it will not feel natural. To change that, go to the Transition tab. Click on New Transition, select where you want your transition to go from, and the destination. We'll change the exit source at to next bar. You've noticed that when working on containers, we can't play them together at the same time. But there's a way to do that. In the Views menu, go to Soundcaster. A Soundcaster session allows you to preview all of your containers, like you were playing the game, and events were playing at the same time. Create a new Soundcaster session and drag and drop the music switch container. You can now preview both the states and the RTPC at the same time. We'll then assign our containers to the corresponding events. Create the events that you need. And drop them in the Soundbank Manager. Generate the Soundbank and don't forget to save the project. Now you can close Wwise and go back to Unity. Integrating the events into Unity can be very scary. I've rage quit quite a lot of times, to be honest, because of compiling errors. But if we take things step by step, it's not that difficult. Surprisingly, we'll just need to write roughly about 10 to 15 lines of code to make all of this work. If you want to trigger Wwise events at specific times in the game, you will have to code the event call using the C# language. The Wwise syntax is pretty simple. Every Wwise call starts with AK sound engine. To simply play an event, the appropriate term is called post. So when wanting to play an event, we need to write AK soundengine.post event, followed by the name of your event between quotation marks, a semicolon, and game object. You want to make sure that what you're calling is the exact same name as in Wwise. You'll not have to write all of these lines manually, since Wwise is integrated into Unity. Code editor will notice that what you want to code is Wwise related. To change the state during game time, It's kinda like the same as posting an event. aka soundengine.setStateValue, the name of your state group, comma, the name of your state. To change an RTPC value, we first need to define a float. So write float myRTPC equals the number that you like, return aka soundengine.setRTPCValue, RTPC name, comma, myRTPC. Now go back to Unity. Remove the test underscore event that we previously imported. And import the three events that we created: scale event, combo event, and game music event. In each event tab, you can see that there is a line saying trigger on. This is only useful if you know right away that you want your event to play at the start of the game. So instead of the default start option, put nothing on each event. Now go to the project path and go to the scripts folder. Double click on the stack script. This will open your code editor. I'll start with the music setup first. The private void start function is called when the game starts, so for anything that happens during this step, we need to specify some things. First of all, we need to create a float. Its purpose will be to assign a value to the RTPC, like we previously seen. The stems I want to play need to have the RTPC value on 0, so I'll type float myRTPC equals 0. You can name the float as you want, and make sure to put a semicolon at the end of each line. Then I'll type aka soundengine.setState dead or alive, comma, alive. It tells Unity that every time the game starts, the music state will be alive. Next, I'll type aka soundengine.setRTPCValue music RTPC, comma, my RTPC. It sets the float value 0 that I created earlier as an RTPC value. After all of this, we can now play the music event, aka soundengine.postEvent. Game music event, game object. However, we'll specify how to act when game over happens in the next section. Scroll down to the private void update function and post the scale event, like we've done for the music event. You can see that there are two scenarios. If the player puts a block, the game continues, but if the player misses, it's game over. So we'll go to the else section where you can see end game. Here, when game over happens, we want to change the previous state, which was alive, to the other one, which is dead. So we'll type aka soundengine.setState, dead or alive, comma, dead. Now, if you play the game and do an intentional game over, the music will change when we lose. We'll now post the combo event by going to the private void spawn tile section. In order to change the RTPC value during game time, I need to get some data from the game. For this game, the simplest way I found was by getting the score count value. So we'll create a public void function that I'll call interactive music. Make sure that there's no space between the words. A public function can be called whenever we want in the game. I'll call it after every score count increment in the line where we set up the scale event. I'll then create brackets and write if parenthesis score count equals 10. I'll then create two brackets to specify the RTPC value. Float my RTPC equals 10. AK soundengine.rtpc, music RTPC, my RTPC. I'll then copy the interactive music function and paste it in the playstyle section. The game will update every time a point is scored to see if the score has reached 10. Okay, that's it. You've set up a simple interactive music system. Congratulations! You can now make as many functions as you want to change your RTPC value every time a certain point is scored. If you've enjoyed this tutorial or have any feedback to give me, please let me know. Make sure to subscribe and leave a like. Signing off. See you.